Hello, friends and foes alike. Welcome to my channel, Jan Living at 360. So I like to tell these stories. The one thing I love about being senior, not a senior, but senior, is that I've lived life and I have real life stories. In other words, not made up, not Instagrammed, but real lived through stories. I was talking to a friend earlier and I was sharing this story about my life, and I thought, I need to go ahead and share that on my channel because it is a powerful story and I don't know how to shorten it. I want to keep it, less than 15 minutes, but I don't know how to shorten it, so I'm going to try my best. So here it goes. I'm going to label this story Only Believe. Okay, so in 2008, I experienced a house fire. I actually had rented out my home and was living with my boyfriend, and my home burnt in the inside, the whole house, 3,600 square feet. Well, part of it was just, severely smoke damaged, but basically my house was set on fire on purpose, as the fire department explained to me later. And I was called at work saying, there's like 3 fire trucks out in front of your house. And I was like, what? So I ran to my home. I immediately was approached by 2 people. One, my insurance man. Number 2 was the fire inspector. So first thing, the fire inspector started asking me questions. And of course, I have always been a very open book. So I was just answering her questions. She was asking me, what I do for a living, how was my bank account. So I was like, empty. And she asked to see in the back of my car. Now this is funny, but in those days I was going from a job to a job. So I carried my clothes, some of my clothes in my trunk, but underneath my clothes, I had a gas can. Why? Because sometimes I was a little bit dingy and would run out of gas. Not very much, but a few times. So thank God she didn't lift my clothes up to see the gas can, but maybe it wouldn't have made a difference. I don't know. Later on, I thought, whoa, that would have been really suspect. So she asked me all these questions. Of course, they put the fire out. I got to actually go in and see the inside of the house, and another fire investigator told me, now you see, what happened here was there was a flammable substance poured from the door all the way through the front room, all the way through the kitchen and out to the garage. And somebody shut the windows tight, lit it, and thought that it would get so hot in there, the whole house would go up in flames. Anyway, but what happened was my insulation was so good, it put the fire out, and I received what you call a smoke fire. So he showed me, look at that couch, and he picked the pillow up, and it was pristine underneath the pillow. And so he said, all this black and the broken windows and the melted doorknobs and of course the melted carpet was from a smoke fire. It billowed through the house after the flames were put out. And they had punched a hole in my ceiling and everything was fine up there. So nevertheless, I was left with a burnt house. Not livable. First thing I did was call my renter and said, hey, where are you? Well, he happened to be out of town conveniently. But I don't want to get into all that story. Here is the real story. I walked away from that home trying to figure out what I should do because I didn't have a place to live. I actually was staying with my boyfriend, but I kept a room there also and kept my stuff in it. So I knew that I needed money to live off of. So I waited, and the insurance company, put me up in a very nice place for 4 months. During that 4 months, they were going in and giving me an estimation and blah, 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 blah. But I also had to go do a deposition. In the deposition, they asked me 3 questions that I answered no to, and they whispered and said, we'll get back to you. 3 questions were something silly like, did you sell cars? No, ever. Did you file insurance policy on a diamond ring? No. Some other question. And they looked at each other, whispered, and said they'd get back to me. I was so ignorant. Well, they sent me a little black and white letter and said, due to the nature of suspect, we are not covering your policy. Now, if you try and fight this, we will recover $12,000, $10,000, and $700. Well, I was like, okay, the $10,000 is what they've paid me in the last 4 months. The $700 was the boards, the flimsy boards they used to cover up the windows. What's the $12,000 for? But they wouldn't talk to me. They said, sorry, you'll have to get a lawyer. Well, I didn't have any money. I had a big, beautiful home. I had 2 jobs. I had money coming in, but I had no real substantial money. So I went through that house with a can of olive oil, and I anointed the house, because there's a lot of references in the Bible where you can anoint and ask God to bless. So I anointed the house, and I said, God, you gave me this house. You're going to have to give it back. And I walked away from it. Now, did it bother me? Heck yeah. I mean, I was like deep down inside wanting to go, help. But I just kept trying to be in tune. Funny thing is, I went to a chiropractor like maybe 3 days before that happened. And he was this holistic chiropractor. And he said, I sense that you are in a fight. And I go, I'm not in a fight. He goes, you're not in a fight with anybody? And I said, no. Well, hell, after that, I was in a fight for 3 years to save my home. So he already picked up on that. So about 2 weeks into it, I'm playing tennis with my girlfriend. There's this guy walking down the street, and he yelled down, hey, I could play better than that. And I said, well, get down here and show us. And he was a little bit mentally off. And my girlfriend was like, why'd you invite him down? I go, oh, just be nice. Well, he turned out to be a pretty good tennis player, and he turned out to be my source. Because afterwards we were talking, he tried to ask me for my phone number. I said, nah, I'm too busy right now. I got to tend to my house. I got to find myself a lawyer. Well, my brother's a lawyer. Well, I thought, oh, what kind of brother does he have? But he gave me his number, and I called him. And that man fought for me, tooth and nail, for free. Well, he got paid out at the end, but for free for 3 long years. During that course of time, the insurance company went through 3 attorneys. First lady, they fired. Second man, they fired. The third man came on. And also, I have to tell you, I had to move back into my house because they kept trying to foreclose on me. I didn't make a house payment for 3 years because I had to pay for another place to live. I mean, I couldn't just shack with my boyfriend the whole time. I had to find myself a place to live. I had to pay for it out of my pocket. I couldn't keep paying for my house payment. I mean, I probably could have, but I didn't want to because I was fighting this battle, and I thought, shoot, if I lose, then I'm out all that money. But basically, I knew in my heart, everybody told me, the insurance companies are too big to fight. Don't fight them. You won't win. But I knew in my heart that God had this. I said, no, they're bigger than me, but I know someone bigger than them. And then I definitely got in my heart to grab every book I could and read it on people that had overcome obstacles, that had received big miracles in their life out of nothing. And I had nothing. I was working with nada. So, well, no, I had a seed of faith. But So, um, and believe me, during that 3 years, I doubted. I doubted so many times. I sometimes drank a 12-pack of beer into oblivion, crying myself to sleep, going, oh, what am I going to do? And then next day I'd pop up and I'd be like, nah, we're going to move on. We're going to press on. Because the insurance company tried everything. They tried to say, well, we'll throw you $50,000, because originally they were supposed to pay me $125,000 to redo the house. They should have. But anyway, so, they treated me like I was a suspect. They treated me like I was dirt under their feet. Their lawyers talked down to me. My lawyer defended me. They thought he must have been getting some kind of, sexual payback on the side or something, because why would he do this? No, he was a good man, and he believed that I was deserving of the money, which I was. And also, during this time, I felt very impressed to walk through my house and picture everything I was going to do with the house when I redid it. I said, I'm going to replace the carpet with hardwood floors. I'm going to put granite all through the kitchens and the bathrooms. I'm going to do this, do that. And I started picturing the color I was going to paint it and everything. And when people would say, well, how's it going with your home? I'd go, great. It's coming along. It's going to be great. Well, at the end, when they hired the third lawyer, he asked me the same set of questions. And I said no to all of them. And he said, tell me that's not your signature on those papers. And I looked down, I looked at my lawyer, and I said, ooh, we need to step outside. I said, OMG. So my husband and I owned the home, and he had passed, but he was married to a woman with a very similar name. They didn't even look. Like, her name was so different than mine, but it was similar. Her name was Janice, for one. Mine's Janet. So my lawyer was delighted. We were about to go to court in a week. I felt like I would have won, a huge amount of money for everything I went through during that 3 years. But as soon as we told them, that is not me, that lawyer said, we'll get right back to you. And they got back to us with the offer that we were asking, which was 3 times the amount, more than 3 times the amount of what they, of course, I was going to pay my lawyer a big chunk of that, and a big chunk was going to redo my house, and then I would get what was left. But point being is, not long after that, my house looked just like I had envisioned it. Just like I had envisioned it. And I even went through interrogation. I didn't even know I was going through interrogation. There is something good to having a childlike quality. I went down to the fire department. I was like, oh, they're going to help me. And I sat in a room with 3 fire investigators. 1 would leave, 2 would interrogate me. And then after about 4 hours, I was like, I'm so hungry. I'm like famished. And they go, yeah, we're going to let you go. We know you're not guilty. You're too honest with everything you tell us. I was just telling them everything. But later I go, oh, they were interrogating me. They thought I was a suspect. I might have been nervous if I'd known that, but I didn't know it. So long story short, I received the money, got to redo my house, and was a witness to a lot of people that were, what? I cannot believe that you won that case. And I was like, wait a minute, let me ask you this. What was that $12,000 that was on that bill that you tried to scare me with, that almost scared me? And they were like, oh, it was a clerical error. Clerical error? What? Should I get money for that also? So, see, sometimes it's just like the Wizard of Oz. Behind the curtain, there is a man that doesn't know what he's doing and pretending. There is business. Oh my God, businesses for sure. A lot of them don't know what they're doing. I've learned being in business that there's a lot of bluffing going on there. My deceased husband used to say when I said, "You don't know this? I mean, how could you not know this and be vice president?" He said, "Because I know people that do know it." And it's true. And he told me, the higher you go up the ladder, the less work you have to do. That's not in every situation, but that's in a lot of businesses. But I wanted to tell you this story just to shed some light on that when it seems like there's no possible way, but you get that little inkling right in here. Little voice says, wait a minute, wait a minute, wait a minute. Listen to it. Listen to it and then follow it. Just one step at a time, day by day. That's all. Day by day. And I hope that helps somebody, but don't make it hard.